welcome back, traders and investors. We have a special guest coming in here. It's not JC Peretz, but it's Harlan Pyan, co-founder of All About Trends. Brianna is tracking him down. I'd love to get his take on the market. We are calling Harlan right now.
Hi, how are you? What show is this, you guys?
What do you mean? This is a pre-market show. What do you think it is?
Oh my gosh, I think I'm on the wrong show. I thought this is the Red Bull Signature Series cliff diving show.
Why?
A cliff diving show, Harlan.
Why?
What kind of stuff?
What the heck? What's the difference? Everything's a cliff dive anyway lately.
The cliff diving show. Everything was a cliff diving.
Oh, he
show
set us up
Monday
on
here.
that one, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I thought it was a cliff diving show.
Even Joe Young, would like that one.
Window jumping.
Harlan, we got to talk to you about this market here. Unbelievable trading action. Now, I know you like to use your levels and pull back to support. I mean, how did you get involved in Monday? Did you kind of just let it say, okay, there's some big volatility here. I can't define my risk-reward ratios. I'm going to wait. Or did you just say, man, this is crazy. I got to get dirty?
Yeah. Well, first off, it's the perfect setup. I mean, we've seen this numerous times where you have a market sell off on Thursday and a Friday into the close. It just sells off into the weekend. And that over the weekend, Nervous Nelly, place some stop orders, get me out. All weekend they have to stew about it. So, the specialists and the market makers, they know all weekend that there's going to be a rash of selling. So what do? They adjust the bids. They're not going to let these people out easy because they know that, hey, listen, there's going to be a lot of supply hit the market, so they're going to make it as painful as possible. So, but we have a saying here, and, typically what we do is we let the opening dust settle first. Then you decide whether or not you want to make a decision. So, when we opened up there and I saw just how wicked it was, you got to be a fool to sell into that after you've been falling apart for 3-4 days. So it was a perfect capitulation move. Compliments of being amplified in late summer trade, all your programs just trading amongst themselves. We can go on and on about that. So what we did is we just sat back. The damage is done. You're going to get hammered at the market. So now you want to start moving your mindset forward. So it was really a classic capitulation type of thing. Does that mean we're over? I don't know. Those tails are pretty wicked, though, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Like, what about an Apple? Do you think it's over in Apple? I mean, here's a value stock that everybody wants to own. It goes all the way down to $92 in the washout on Monday. It's up here at 111 here now. Is the low end in a stock like Apple?
Gosh, well, is a low end on really anything?
Well, we don't know that to say, but...
Right, but maybe we should back up. Rather than talking about Apple, take a look at Starbucks again.
Yeah, we can go back to Starbucks. That was huge.
Yeah, let's go back. Well, it really
$42.
Unbelievable. When you look at it, I was looking at it and I'm going to myself, you know what? You guys just nailed it because that's what it is. All this thing did is, if you look at it off of the March 6-month daily chart with a 50-day moving average, you can clearly see this issue broke its overall uptrend. We have a saying at All About Trends: first thrust down, snapback rally, bombs away. And we just did our first thrust down on Monday, and here we are snapping back up. And where are you going to go? I mean, this is a broken stock. From a technical perspective, all it's doing is going to rally right back up to resistance. So, when I see that and, Apple, you can kind of say Apple's a little different only because everybody in America owns it in one way, shape, or form because it is such a major component of the indexes. But still, it's kind of broken too. So I have to look at this whole market as, a broken market that isn't going to repair itself overnight unless this is another October of 2014. Something tells me it's not. This one feels, looks, and acts different. So, when you look at the S&P, what do you see? You see nothing but massive overhead supply. You look at the NASDAQ comp, massive overhead supply. You look at the NASDAQ 100, massive overhead supply. You look at stocks like Starbucks, all these stocks are doing are, snapping back for every action and equal and opposite reaction, right? So that's what we're seeing. We're just seeing the rubber bands snap back. So, I can't really be a big bull here, and, but we still need time. So let's snap back. Where are we going to go? I don't know. But when you see all that resistance, there's just, trade what you see, and resistance is your phrase of the day.
Okay, Harlan. Go ahead, Dennis.
Harlan, so, okay, let's move on to a couple other different stocks here. And I know you were looking probably at these charts here, and you've got some ideas there, and I want to pick your brain. Which stocks are you eyeing up here right now, either for long or short trades?
Starbucks would be one of them, on the short side. There's a lot of overhead supply at this 55, 56.
Yeah.
So, you can clearly see this. This is just a great stock to talk about because, only the best and forget the rest is our motto. And this is just a classic issue that broke a big picture overall trend line. And all it's doing is coming right back up to kiss where it broke down. Maybe it kisses it goodbye. Comes up, takes a look at it, gives it a kiss, and says, "See you later. I'm back out of here." So I'd be real careful about chasing this market. Same thing with Amazon. Look at the overhead supply. You're going to see it in Amazon too. It's everywhere.
Hey, Harlan, can I interrupt you for a second? We talk a lot about overhead supply, and we kind of take it for granted what people are listening. And Chris S. Texan has asked us a few other times. We've given him our explanation of overhead supply. Could you go in it and give your opinion?
Sure. Overhead supply to me is the same thing as saying it's resistance. It's a level where the bulk of the population owns that stock. That's about the level where anybody who owns it is getting back to break even. So just grab a chart of, how about the S&P 500, daily time frequency. Let's see if you can get there.
Well, I'm sorry. Which chart were you looking at?
S&P 500.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
That's okay.
There you go.
All righty. When you look at the S&P 500, just go draw a line, right across, for simplicity, 2040. So you can see 2040 right here is a long way away, but look at everything above 2040. There's 6 months, 7 months worth of supply up in that zone. There is a lot of people who, when you get back up into that zone, they're first going to be break even. And after they went through this cliff dive, they're going, you know what? If we make it there, mind you, they're going to go, I'm back to break even. That's supply. I'm back to break even. I'm out of here. So that's kind of the way I look at it. It's just another way to talk about resistance. They go hand in hand.
And one more thing to add to that, Chris. I don't know if you trade New York stocks or NASDAQ stocks, but in New York stocks, there's institutional orders out there. And believe it or not, in this market, they'll put 500,000, 1 million shares. It's going to be in your stocks like your Procter & Gamble. Dennis, remember Johnson & Johnson for a while? There was like 500,000, like every handle going up. I don't remember where it was, but they're there, and the institutions, they don't care. They put it out there. So that's another really good example of overhead supply. Harlan, were you dabbling in any of the high flyers at all, like your Netflixes or your Teslas or any of those stocks? I mean, I know they don't always fit your criteria for fundamentals. Did you dip your toe in any of those?
No, I kind of set this one out. So I would have been a great one, right? Yesterday, though, you can kind of clearly see that off of those lows from the other day, you can sit there and go, all right, we bounced up, we sat. Do you notice how for like 2 days we kind of sat up in this zone when you look at a short-term chart? So that was considered first thrust up, and then you kind of sat and consolidated in a lot of names. And then obviously for the first time in the last couple of days, they didn't do what? They didn't sell you off into the close. So here comes our snapback rally. How far? How long is it going to last? Well, the more it springs, the more it's going to come springing right back down again. So I'm just kind of sitting back and I'm saying, where's going to be the next decent trades? For me, it's going to probably be on the short side. May take a week or two, but just watch resistance. Watch these stocks put in snapback rally, bear channels, and then roll over to the downside. That's what you want to see if you want to sell short. Now, if you're long those issues and they start doing that, that's your what to watch out for. So they kind of go hand in.
Okay, Harlan, let's talk some other let's talk oil here for a second, because we saw oil, get killed, go down to $38, and now it's finally starting to catch a bid, getting back over 40 here. It's trading over $41 this morning here. What do you think of oil? Because everybody seems to be, thinking that oil is just going straight down, and it almost felt like a little bit capitulation maybe there too. Do you think the worst is over for oil, or do you think this is just a little bounce and eventually we're going to see lower prices?
Well, there's a cliff diver if you ever saw one, huh?
I know. There's a lot of cliff divers.
Well, look at this thing off of the, how about the beginning of July? Do you see any change that tells you this thing is going higher? You could have said that, a week ago. You could have said it 2 weeks ago. You could have said it 3 weeks ago. But the charts are saying, you know what? This is locked in a downtrend for the last 2 months. So I'm seeing no pattern here that tells me I should be looking at this thing at all, aside from, it's oversold, but it's been oversold for months. So, I'm just not seeing it. Now, I don't know what chart you're looking at, but if I'm looking at a 6 month of WTIC.
Okay.
And I want you to, if you can look at a 6 month, I can tell you what I need to see to make me say I'm interested in oil. You look at the March lows.
What's this symbol again? I think I missed it.
WTIC.
Oh, WTIC. Okay. Go ahead, Harlan. Sorry.
That's all right. So you put a 6 month chart up. You look at the daily charts and you look at the March lows, and then you see this big spike up from, I'm going to just round it, from 42 to 52 for like a week or two. And then what do you notice? It pulled back off its highs for a few days down to like 47. That right there is what you want to watch for. You see that runs up, pulls back off its highs, and then it shoots forward again. That's what I need to see to make me get interested in oil, in that chart, in crude oil. So if we bounce, run up, which is a first thrust up, pull back off highs, and then resume our advance, yes. That's what it's going to take for me. I trade what I see. It's always all about hype. Go ahead.
Yeah, you always like the moment. Do you ever switch it up and go picking bottoms when you see extreme pricing, though?
Not really. I'm more of a pattern guy. I mean, if you see things that are massively, market leaders, I didn't see it until you guys showed it to me this morning, because I haven't been paying attention to Amazon, but Amazon was just a killer trade setup, because, in Monday's fiasco, that issue, if you look at it, all it did is come right back down to a major support level. So that would have been a good in the face of fear. And let's face it, that was probably the doozy of them all. That was the time to pick that issue off, because you were picking it off after it just went from it just lost 100 points in like 3 days almost, 3-4 days. So of course you're going to get a reaction. What I find interesting is, where was Raymond James back there at support? Why weren't they upgrading it at support? Now they upgrade it, after the stock just put on 50 points. And now you want me to buy this after it went up already 50 points in the last 3 days, plus today's action, plus you're pushing up into that 520, 540 resistance zone. Why would I want to buy this here?
Harlan, what do you got on your radar today, either short side or long side? I know you're kind of leaning toward the short side a little bit here. Could you give us just a couple of issues, a couple levels to keep an eye on out for today?
Gosh, I don't really have any names, but I'm just more or less watching the sitting on the sidelines, watching where's the resistance going to come into play. I look at the S&P 500 and I'm going, all right, 1975 is a 38% Fibonacci zone, plus draw a line across that, 1975, and you can see December and January, that was a support level, and the rule of thumb is support once broken now becomes resistance. So we could stall at the 1975 level. The level after that is 1997, which is a Fibonacci retracement, 50%, and then after that, 2028 is your 61%. So right now, all I'm looking at this market is there's a ton of resistance, and if they want to run them up, fine. I want to watch those levels, and if those levels stall and we can't get over those levels, we could come back down and retrace. So I don't think we're out of the woods yet. I guess if you're a longer-term investor, yeah, there's a lot of bargains, but I don't see us making new highs anytime soon.
We've been on the line with Harlan Pyan of All About Trends. He joins us today. Thanks a lot, Harlan. We'll talk to you again soon.
You bet. See you later, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Harlan.